Hi there, it's Jen, and thanks for joining me. Today I am doing the small die portion of my Spellbinders card kit. I know I mention this every time, but in case you haven't seen one of my videos before, I get the card kit called KITCHY from Spellbinders, and it includes a small die of the month. That's part of the kit, but you can purchase a small die of the month separately, so that is a separate subscription. So if you're interested in the May, which is these 4 dies, you still have time to do that. I believe it will end the 31st of May. So the different dies are Thank You, Smile, Celebrate, and Hello. And they're really nice dies. And this is the first set. I've been subscribed since January, so this is the first set of word dies that I've received. So I really like them. I tried my best. I had a hard time coming up with ideas for these cards, but I just went ahead and went with it. They're all fairly simple, nothing too difficult or too many supplies needed. So the first one I'm doing is I'm doing a rainbow pattern using Distress ink. And I don't have all of the names of the inks, but I will go ahead and put those in the description. So all supplies will be linked below. But the Distress inks that I'm using for this card are Shaded Lilac, Blueprint Sketch. The green one, I am not sure. And there's Mustard Seed, Card Pumpkin, and it's the red one's either Candied Apple or Fired Brick. I don't remember, but like I said, I will leave that below. I am using 110-pound Recollections cardstock. It doesn't blend super well, so and that doesn't bother me for this card, but I'm using a heavier cardstock for this card because I will be popping up the die cut letters, and so I wanted something fairly heavy. So I just go ahead and blend out and try and blend one into the other, and then I'm going to go ahead and take my spray bottle and spritz my panel with some water. And I let that sit probably for about 30 seconds or so, and then I take my paper towel and just press it down on my panel to pick up the color from where the water was. And then I'm going to take the Celebrate die, and I cut this out 3 times on the same panel, and each one I do at an angle. So I will use every piece of the colored paper. And you might have to shim these dies, especially, I didn't have problems with the other dies, but this one I think because it is a kind of like a cursive writing, it was a little harder for me to get it cut out. So I did shim it, but that also I've been having problems with my Big Shot machine. I think it's getting worn out, and I might be needing a new one. So I don't think it's working as well as it should. So in total there are 4 panels, and the first one I go ahead and take my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive and adhere that directly to my card base. And then I'm going to take the next panel and pop that up with foam tape. And each of the Celebrate words is going to stand up, which is why it's better to use a bit heavier cardstock. So like I mentioned, this is 110-pound, and most of my cardstock I just get from Michaels. I get the 110-pound packs from Michaels. They're perfect for card bases and fairly inexpensive, especially with coupons. So I went ahead and took some black cardstock and used the die to cut out 3 more words, and I just put those behind each of the Celebrate words just to give it a little more definition. It was a little hard to see against the background, and so I just wanted that bit of definition. So I just offset the black cardstock behind the rainbow colored, and I set it off to the left. So the second, or actually the third panel for the card is going to be adhered using my my Tonic Deluxe adhesive, and that is going to go flat on the card base. And then the last piece will also be popped up with foam tape. So the first celebrate word and the last celebrate word are both popped up with foam tape. But all of these celebrate words will be dimensional and standing up. So this would be a good card maybe to give in person or even to put in a box, not necessarily through the mail. I went ahead and white embossed Your Day on a piece of black cardstock and then used some Stickles. And that will complete the first card. For the second card, I am using the Hello die, and I'm just taking a small piece of white cardstock and cutting that out with this square stitch die, and then I am taking the Hello die and putting that in the small white square, and then I took this blue flower out of this K&Co ephemera pack. And pretty much that's all I will be using for this card. I do use some sequins also. So I'm just going to mark out where I want these pieces, and I'm going to use my Tonic and Deluxe adhesive to adhere all the pieces to my card. And so I adhere that piece, and then I'm going to take the hello and put that in the middle of the square and also adhere that with my adhesive. And then I take some mustard seed and carved pumpkin and my finger daubers and just go over that little area with the colors and try and blend them out a little bit just to give it a little bit of color. And then I'm going to go ahead and put my liquid adhesive on the blue flower, and I will cut the excess off of the edges. And then I grab a sequin mix. I'm pretty sure it's 28 Lilac Lane. Those are most of my sequins are that brand from scrapbook.com. I looked today and I didn't find this one, but I'll have to see if I can see the name. It's kind of like an autumn mix. It's got some browns and some yellows and some golds. So I just go ahead and adhere a bunch of the sequins. And that will complete this card. Not much to it. So for my third card, I'm using the 6x6 paper pad by Molly and Rex. Michael's used to carry this, but I haven't seen it there, so they must not carry it anymore, which is a shame because I really liked the paper. But I'm just going to take this blue kind of spotty piece of paper, and I will use that as my main background. So I'm just taking a card panel, and I'll go ahead and take some double-sided tape and adhere the panel and then trim off the excess. And I'm taking this really pretty, almost like a sunset colors from that same paper pad, and I'm going to take the smile die and kind of put it between the pink and the yellow so I can get both of those colors on the die. And then I'm also using kind of a wonky circle die in which I cut a piece of white paper out. And then the rest of the pieces for this card are all from the same Molly and Rex paper pad. I've just taken different pattern papers or the little cut apart cards and have cut out some flowers and some butterflies and some balloons and some clouds. And so I go ahead and adhere the circle and also the smile wording. And I pop up the balloon with a piece of foam tape, and then I'll go ahead and adhere all the other elements to the card. And then I'm going to go ahead and pop up this smaller balloon also and put that in the background. And then I will take my adhesive and adhere the panel to a card base. And I set it off to the right, so there's a little bit of a white strip on the left-hand side. Which required me then to cut off the overhang on the right-hand side. And since I am such a fabulous cutter of straight lines, I did trim off a little bit more than I needed to, but that will complete that card really easy, quick. So for the next card, I am using this Penelope D stamp set, and then this piece of pattern paper, which is an authentique 6x6 pattern paper from I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and it's just got some really faint pink lettering in the background. And I'm going to go ahead and take the rose stamp and use the blush color of Close to My Heart ink, and I'll go ahead and ink that flower up several times. So once I'm done stamping, I go ahead and trim that down so it fits on my card, and then I will use a piece of pattern paper from the same authentique paper pad that I got the paper that I stamped the rose on, and that is going to be the paper that I use with the die. And I really like these dies. I just, for whatever reason, I had a very hard time trying to think of different ideas. There are some wonderful, beautiful cards out there using these dies, and I just think for me, I always try and do something to give different ideas than what's already out there, and so I didn't want to use other ideas, and so it's kind of hard to come up with. It was hard for me anyhow to come up with some different things to show you. So this is not my best video, but I thought, you know, what the heck, I'll go ahead, and I've done all this work on it, I might as well just post it, and maybe it'll give somebody some ideas. But I go ahead and just curl around the edges of this paper. I was trying to give it a little bit more character, and so I went ahead and curled the edges up a little bit, tried to distress a little bit, and then I'm using Nuvo Crystal Drops in Morning Dew to put some dewdrops on the leaves. And that'll complete this card pretty much. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe got some ideas. Probably my favorite card is the Celebrate card because it's a little bit different and just a different idea of how to use these dies. But I hope you enjoyed and found something new. If you liked this video or found it informative, please give me a thumbs up. And if you're not a subscriber and would like to subscribe, please hit that red subscribe button. And I'll catch you next time. Thanks.